I'm just gonna save all of the Keith musical bits. Did you like that one outro that was, I think, 2 of you singing different songs?
Yeah.
Let's do a vocal warm-up.
Yep. Come and knock on my door. I'm here
waiting to poo.
It's Two's Company Poo.
Jesus Christ. Alright. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, September the 7th, 2020, and this is the Fourth and Wrong Podcast. I'm your host, RJ, and joining me as always is Keith. Say hi, Keith.
Finger guns.
That's not the line. We'll try this again. Roll it all the way back. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, September the 7th, 2020. This is the Fourth and Wrong Podcast. I'm your host, RJ, and joining me as always is Keith. Say hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith. You almost sounded like you ran out of breath on that one.
You know what? I am a fat old bitch.
Towards the end of the "Hey everybody, it's Tuesday," I was like,
Listen,
you're choking a little bit. It's not a race.
blame it on the lack of cardio.
That happens. It's not a race.
I sit in a chair a lot these days.
Same.
So football.
Football.
By this time next week, we will have had actual football.
By the time this podcast is published, 5 days.
2 days.
Well, technically,
didn't it start on Thursday.
Well, it does for everybody else but me.
Well, okay, fair enough. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna watch the game on Thursday, but because I am so fucking sex starved of football. I would literally watch a high school game right now.
Yeah.
I will drive to my old 1AA high school that's never had a winning record in football since the creation of that high school to watch football.
I will drive to Wilmington to watch UNCW play Wait a second. Undefeated.
Yep, undefeated, technically. God, dude, that was like one of my favorite shirts. that UNCW's ever, like, I don't know if they endorsed it. They had to have, because it used, like, fucking...
I mean, we sold it at the off-campus bookstore, so...
Yeah, true. Fair. But it was a good shirt.
Damn good shirt.
Yeah. It's hard to be defeated if you've never played a game.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, 2 days till football. We're finally we're there. Regular season. Fuck that preseason shit. Hitting it up Thursday. Who's playing Thursday? Texans and the Chiefs. So that ought to be a good game. We're getting Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes right out of the fucking gate. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. But we got some interesting matchups that are coming up, and we might discuss them a little bit.
Mm.
Who knows? Or we can discuss them now.
You know what? Yeah, you decide.
Well, we're already on the topic, so.
I decide so often. I'll let you take the reins on this one.
So just looking over the schedule for week 1 a little bit, we got some interesting games to come out of the gate with. A lot of them are games we want to see because teams have been retooled so much, or divisional games, or just games with
There's
interesting players in them.
Games.
Yeah, like the Browns are opening up with a divisional game against Baltimore. You guys are opening up against the Jets. The Eagles are opening up with Washington.
Dolphins, Pats, Packers, Vikings.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be
Bears, Lions.
It's like we're hitting all the story bits right off the rip.
Cardinals, Niners, Bucks, Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. So that's... I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I didn't make the schedule. So just starting off with the game this Thursday, that's a really good way to like kickstart the season. Is Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champion.
I
Playing.
believe that's what they usually do.
Yeah, but playing against Deshaun Watson and company.
Right.
Because although Deshaun Watson is a very dynamic quarterback, and that matchup's always a fun matchup the few times we've had it, the Texans' offense looks way different.
Yeah.
Without DeAndre Hopkins. So it's going to be interesting how that one plays
neutered.
out. Some would say. Some would strongly say. Still got an okay backfield, but who's going to step up and catch the football? So I don't know how I feel about that one as far as Texans.
An oft-injured Will Fuller.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one when it comes to Houston's chances. But
is Kenny Stills still on their team?
Fuck, I don't know, dude. I just know DeAndre Hopkins ain't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But aside from how hot and heavy it's going to start on Thursday, how do you feel about the Bills season opener?
I mean, I feel like it should be an easy win.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we dominated last year. We opened up back-to-back games last year in the Meadowlands, and we beat both the Jets and the Giants. And this game's at home. So, at least I'm pretty sure this game's at home.
It is.
Yeah, at Bills. So, I think we should handle them pretty handily. But the downside is we're definitely not going to have any fans in the stands. So,
yeah, it's the competitive advantage is kind of, we touched on it briefly last episode. The competitive advantage is kind of shifted in the aspect of the NFL right now because some teams are allowing fans, some teams aren't, because it depends on the state. A lot of this is happening in states like Florida, who have 3 different football teams, so all 3 of their teams get advantages over teams that aren't allowing fans in stadiums, like the Bills and most of the northern teams and western teams.
We'll also get to see the debut of the wide receiver that I wanted to draft in Denzel Mims,
who's playing
for the Jets. Yeah.
Well, that's too damn bad.
Yeah.
He gotta fuck with Trey White, who just got a huge extension, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a little bit.
What do you think about your week 1?
I feel okay because it hasn't started yet.
You win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. Hey, the first time we played Baltimore last year, we took them out back and hung them out to dry.
I mean, hey, maybe you'll catch him off guard. Who knows?
It was the classic case of the few times Lamar has lost as the starter of that team, which all of last season was only 2 times, was stop him from running around so much and make him beat your secondary, which he can do.
Yeah.
But he didn't that day, and we beat them by 3 scores. So hopefully we have a repeat of that performance and not the performance the second time we played them last season, where the narrative was completely opposite and Lamar Jackson did whatever he wanted. So that's kind of what we're going for. Kind of go for the win thing, not the lose thing.
Don't let him do whatever he wants.
Duct tape him to the wall and just pray against that defense and see what happens. But in reality, I don't know enough. Obviously, it's the first week of the season. I honestly hate that we're playing a Super Bowl contender week 1 because I wanted a week or 2 to like really gauge out the chemistry in that offense and that defense, considering the injuries we've been dealing with and how many parts got moved on the offense as far as the offensive line was concerned, and going up against with a newly configured offensive line going up against Baltimore's defense is not fun for me. It's not a fun thought.
I guess the question is, how many cliches do you want? It's like next man up. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah, it's like just that's going to be the entire speech at the beginning of the game. We still have a lot of holes on defense. We're playing one down at a time, or just go out there and execute our game plan.
And Miles, remember, we're playing one helmet at a time also.
Yeah, one helmet at a time. if Lamar Jackson happens to try to call you a racist word,
well, he's allowed to.
He's the same race as you, so I guess you guys have that discussion. Don't try to kill any quarterbacks anymore. Only happened once. No big deal. But the rest of the week is going to fold out. I'm excited for the rest of the week as well, just because there's some interesting stories that unfolded. So we get to see, honestly, some things that surprised me this week, and we'll get to it in the news, and we get to see the reaction to that on the field. But as far as your game and my game is concerned, it being week 1, I think it's relatively cut and dry. Don't lose. Let's see how the teams play, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's a fair
place to go to Miami for week 2.
Yes. We go back to Cleveland to play the Bengals.
Play in front of their fans.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
Get the corona in Miami.
I was going to say, just don't let the epicenter of the COVID kill your team. Put them in a bubble. Everybody play at the same stadium.
In Buffalo.
Where it's nice and cozy.
Where every game's a snow game.
Oh, Lord.
All right, what's up? What's next?
Yo, dog. Little fun fact. The Bears are going to be starting Mitchell Trubisky.
Why?
That's what I'm saying.
Why?
The Chicago Bears named Mitch Trubisky as the starting quarterback for week 1. Nick Foles is now relegated to the veteran mentor role once again.
Welcome to the bench, dog. We hope you enjoy getting paid a lot for it.
Yeah, he's getting paid. Like he got traded from that Jacksonville contract, or traded on that Jacksonville contract rather. So no skin off his teeth, I guess. But like, I think we've seen enough out of Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
If you're gonna and that was my thought.
He's going into what, year 4?
I believe so, either 3 or 4. He's at the tail end of his rookie deal, and we discussed this before when I said nobody's going to trade for that big of a contract and not start him. That's starter money, you know. And
meanwhile, in Chicago,
I was convinced. It's like, you're not going to trade for that big of a contract for him to lose, like, because then it makes your front office look dumb. You know, because why even bother? There's so many veteran mentor quarterbacks sitting in free agency right now. You could have picked one of them, like fucking Josh McCown. He was available up until a couple of days ago.
And I don't think he's played for. No, I think he has played for Chicago already. So I don't know if he can go back. He's got a
list. He's got a list.
Got to go to a new team.
Yeah, you could have picked somebody up like that for a veteran minimum, and he can be your veteran mentor. He's just as much of a journeyman as Nick Foles has been, if not more. He's the most prolific journeyman quarterback in the league. He's learned and been coached under almost every coaching staff in the entire fucking NFL.
Yeah.
But no, we're going to pay millions of dollars for Nick Foles to sit there and do nothing. At that point, take your loss and just cut him. Get somebody else.
Seriously.
Like save the cap space over the next years. You're already gonna eat it this year because he has guaranteed money, a lot of guaranteed money in that contract. So either ship him out, get rid of him. If you're not going to start him, get rid of him. But I would have thought that any team would be willing to pay that much money for a quarterback and not start him just automatically. Just like, fuck you, Mitch Trubisky, you've had your chance. This guy is costing us bajillions of dollars.
Well, we could, in theory, have a second case of that depending on how stuff shakes out in Carolina.
Oh, yeah?
Because if Teddy Bridgewater gets injured or doesn't play up to snuff for some reason, we could see good old P.J. Walker come in and take over.
That's what we're all here to see, really. Teddy Bridgewater, don't have a career-threatening injury this time. But, get sick or something. I want to see PJ play. Come on, give me
that boy spin it.
Yeah, give me Philippe. But in more starting quarterback news, the Patriots announced Cam Newton as their starter. Yeah, no shit.
And captain.
Yeah, no shit. Who was he competing against again?
Jared Stidham.
Yep. Who the fuck's that?
And Brian Hoyer, I believe.
Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer, he just refuses to leave because he keeps getting rings. Okay.
I've heard of worse reasons to stick around.
Yeah, right. But
just because it costs him his entire salary to buy the ring after he wins it.
They don't give him out to the third string quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so surprise, surprise, former MVP is a starting quarterback on a football team again. He's going to do fine this year, and he's going to get actual starter money at some point again.
I hope not. Well, I hope not on the first part. I don't care if he gets paid or not.
You hope he
doesn't do well.
You hope he does well, but the team does poorly?
I don't know. He's a Patriot now.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get a win-win. I'm trying to get a win-win for Cam. I like Cam.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah,
it's been tainted.
Yeah, you've gone to the factory of hate.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, a quote that Cam Newton said. It's been a match made in heaven for me.
Also, I'm sure he'll still do fine.
Yeah, he'll do fine. Just knowing I'm at a place where everything is pulling in the same direction and everything is geared towards winning. It's like, yeah, because Bill Belichick is a fucking hard ass, and if that's a match made in heaven, I'm genuinely curious to see what hell seems like. Seems like a nice place. If that's the kind of matches that heaven's making, putting MVP winners on fucking Patriots squads. Check, please. I want to go somewhere else. So it was. I mean, my whole feeling about it was when he got signed. It's like, no shit, he's going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I assume that you had a pretty similar feeling.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially when you saw his off-season workout videos and all that shit he was putting together.
He looked good.
Yeah. Granted, those are the highlights of highlights.
Yeah,
from a workout against air and everything, but still
watching him move like that, even if it's highlights of highlights, watching him move like that and watching him spin it like that after the surgery and injury issues he's had over the past 2 seasons, who wouldn't be willing to take the chance on that? Especially with how successful he's had, the success he's had in his career up until this point.
Well, there's something to be said about even the best athletes can turn it on for 5 minutes.
Well, let's see if he can turn it on for a couple hours again.
Yeah. Can he do it for 60?
And we'll see him try week 1 against the
Miami.
Yeah, Miami. That's going to be fine. That's a tune-up game for Cam Newton.
Yeah. That's a Tua and up game.
A Tua and up game. Speaking of Tua and up, it will not be a Tua and up because Fitzpatrick was named the starting QB in Miami.
It's Fitzpatrick up.
So
nope, doesn't work quite as well.
Yeah, that one didn't flow off the tongue.
Didn't stick it.
Yeah. So I think this kind of falls in the same camp of why, but less so than Chicago.
No, this makes total sense.
You know how I feel about benching first-round QBs for the sake of starting the starter, cuz.
I mean, well then, not to get off of this topic immediately, but then how do you feel about Herbert sitting behind Tyrod in Los Angeles?
Herbert was never unanimously considered a top number 1 pick in the draft.
But he was the immediate next pick afterwards. He was still the number 6 pick.
I think the Chargers reached for him, so that's my opinion of that quarterback specifically.
Okay, so it's not just where they're picked.
It's not just where they're picked. It's it's how good the quarterback is. I think Tua and Justin Herbert are. There's a gap, and Tyrod has gas left in the tank. I'm not saying Fitzpatrick. I'm not saying Fitzpatrick doesn't, because he willed Miami into some wins last year.
Yeah.
But they're at a stage where they need the refresh.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers are in a completely different scenario than Miami is. I'm talking about when I say I don't understand why first round pick quarterbacks are sat. I'm more specifically talking about the talent of the player, but B, I'm talking about teams that lose all the fucking time always, not just going fuck it, let's start our first round pick. We got him for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And we can gear NFL offenses to find them success early, and it has been proven. And Brian Flores is not a dumb coach. He proved that by winning football games last year in general against all odds. The entire front office massacring that team, reducing Miami to a practice squad, and they weren't last in the league. So
what if the reason they're sitting him is because he didn't even have preseason games to really do anything? I mean, this would literally be thrusting him in as soon as possible.
Well, I don't think the preseason does
games
anything.
Games that count.
I don't think the preseason does anything.
I mean, it lets you play against another team at speed. It lets you play against competition outside of your own team.
Uh-huh.
So you get a different look.
Sure. But you don't. You get base looks. Nobody does anything in preseason that's gonna directly reflect what regular season is gonna be like. You're getting base offenses, base defenses. So you are getting the speed. You're getting, you get to see the speed of the game up close. You're absolutely right. But the speed of the game can be taught in practice. We see players, we see rookies all the time. They're still adjusting to the speed of the game by mid-season. I'm not saying thrust him out there to the wolves and let him get chewed up. Scheme for him and play him. I think the Chargers and Miami are in different positions right now when it comes to starting quarterbacks because of the history of those teams. Miami has been obviously, on a fire sale over the past 2 seasons, and the Chargers are still trying to stay competitive.
Yeah,
So
Miami kind of loaded up this offseason in free agency. I mean,
that's
at least defensively.
Well, that was the whole purpose of them selling the farm last year and the year before. Like, let's get picks and let's get cap, and then let's go out and try to put a football team together. They went the full strip and rebuild route instead of that slow, methodical rebuild that football teams normally do, because they're not willing to get rid of their top grade talent, even though one player can't win you a football game the same way in other sports it can. But like I said, less surprising than the Bears' decision. It doesn't mean I like the decision. Fitzpatrick still got some gas in the tank, but I want to see Tua play. You drafted him high for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't that good, if he wasn't good enough to start, should have picked him later. But
I mean, it sounded like San Diego. See, I did it. I did the thing. Los Angeles was going to pick whoever was available between the two of them.
Yeah.
If they were given the choice of both, who would they have picked then? Mm-hmm. I don't think that we know that, but
it would have been Tua.
It probably would have been Tua.
Tua's the better player. If they didn't pick, if they actually had preference on Herbert and they think they got a deal on Justin Herbert, then they're wrong. Yeah.
So
I'm here.
I mean,
I'm here for the hot takes.
Picked him any later.
Yeah, I mean they picked him because they wanted him at that spot. But if you're picking quarterbacks, my position has always been quarterbacks should never be drafted as high as they are if they can't play week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Treat them like every other position or player group. Like, we put so much value on rookie quarterbacks rookie quarterbacks are like the most bang or bust position in the entire fucking NFL. Nobody gets drafted, number 1 overall as a quarterback and then develops into a superstar. They either come out of the gate swinging or they flame out. It's not, and I'm not saying they don't have the capacity to develop into a superstar, but if they don't win immediately, they get relegated down the tier list until they're just out of the league.
What? No, Josh Rosen's doing great.
Yeah, he's doing fine. Josh
Where
Rosen.
Is he?
Fuck if I know. Not Miami.
You want to take a $20 over under? Will Josh Rosen ever end up on an NFL team again?
I think that's an easy bet. I think he'll end up on a team again.
Okay.
Yeah. I think somebody will pick him up. There'll be an injury or something, or he'll be on the practice squad somewhere, or he'll try again.
This would be one of those bets where he goes to the CFL for like 4 years and then comes back and like.
If he doesn't come back to the NFL, it will not be a team's decision. It'll be his decision. I mean, that was Josh Rosen's big thing. Is nobody was convinced that he was, committed to football because he had all these other endeavors. So, well, now's your chance, bud. Go get rich somewhere else, talking all that fucking shit. But he was committed to underperforming.
Yeah.
At least he wasn't picked in the top 5. So he's a little outside of my metric, but
it was close.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a top 10 pick. So he's just another example of teams that are quarterback hungry, just reaching for quarterbacks. It happens. It'll continue to happen. Poor feller.
All right, what's next?
You ready for Clowney watch? Clowney status update?
Clowney watch. Woo, woo.
Woo, woo. That motherfucker got a team.
Yeah.
Clowney's officially signed.
And he did not get paid a huge amount. I think he only got paid like $12 million.
Yeah, it's over 1 year.
Yeah. Weren't we talking about him getting like 16 or wanting 16 or 17?
Yeah, on a long-term deal.
I mean, yeah. Either way, that's a pretty precipitous drop-off. It's like 25% of the contract.
Yeah, and that was pretty much where he got signed for what we talked about last time we talked about Clowney's money. Was he got signed for about where I thought he would get signed for, because I thought he was asking for too much, and I thought the teams were offering too little. And finally, it got into a really weird bidding war between the Saints and the Titans, evidently.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans just straight up had the money on hand, and the Saints didn't.
Right.
The Saints were actually offering more, but they couldn't afford it.
So Clowney said that he wanted to play for a contender.
Uh-huh.
And he ends up going either... I mean, the Saints obviously make sense. You know, he'd be opposite, like, Cam Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And, and have... Who is it? Marshawn Lattimore behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So, pretty stacked defense to begin with. Makes sense. Drew Brees on the other side. Alvin Kamara, presuming he, actually shows up.
Mm-hmm.
But, them, Michael Thomas, they make sense. The Titans still kind of, like... I don't know. For some reason, they're still not convincing me as, like, a super dominant team.
I wouldn't say they're dominant. I would agree with that. I would say they're contenders. They were in the fucking AFC Championship last year.
I still think that's a little fluky. I mean, it kind of seemed like if you can scheme against Derrick Henry and stop him.
No, dude. No, man. When Ryan Tannehill got started last year, he was statistically the number 1 quarterback in the league for the short period of time he played. Yeah. And by short period of time, I mean it wasn't the whole season, but he played most of the season. And they statistically had one of the most dynamic and consistent passing attacks. Also, Derrick Henry running his brains off. When you stuff Derrick Henry, it didn't matter because they just throw on you. The Titans went 9-7 because they got a late start because Ryan Tannehill wasn't starting yet.
Right.
They were. I don't know what they did to go, hey, Ryan Tannehill, remember when you were good in Miami? You're going to be good again, but, like, better. And Marcus Mariota was sad about it.
Well, I think part of that is he got out from under the likes of Adam Gase.
Yeah.
For one.
I 100% agree with that, because Adam Gase is an awful coach.
Yeah.
And teams will finish learning that at some point.
Got them big bug eyes.
Aliens. I wouldn't call him a favorite. I'll agree with you, or I wouldn't call him a favorite, but I would certainly call him a contender. 9-7. okay. But 2 major postseason upsets in an AFC championship?
I guess I just can't, I can't think of anybody on that defense that jumps out to me.
Well, you got Jadeveon Clowney.
I mean, I guess it's a Mike Vrabel-led defense. I guess, that's something to remember.
Mm-hmm. They also picked up Vic Beasley this year. I can kind of see your point. Because they had a lot of turnover on their defense in the offseason this year.
Yeah. There's just nothing that screams out to me, dominance.
Well, there's nothing that screams dominance every single time the Patriots won the fucking Super Bowl, yet here we are. Except for Tom Brady.
I mean, they've always had a good defense too.
Yeah, with 1 or 2 names on it. You build a locker room of consistency instead of just 3 guys that go out in their entire fucking defensive scheme.
Oh sure, I mean that's kind of what's making the Bills so good at this point is we've got a couple all pros now at this point, but it's the having the same guys year after year being in the same scheme.
Mm-hmm. So let's get everybody else on the same page. If we get a good performance from them and then a great performance from our all-stars, then overall we'll have a good/great performance. That approach is, I find that approach more consistent than, hey, we have Ray Lewis and we have Ed Reed, and then they literally murder everyone on offense, and we only get 1 championship out of it. Mm-hmm. So same thing happened with Denver. They had Von Miller and a shutdown secondary, and the rest of the defense was okay, and they got a championship out of it.
Well, they also had Peyton Manning at that point.
Sheriff. The sheriff wasn't there for that Super Bowl, okay? There was a guy wearing a Peyton Manning costume that just didn't lose them the game.
I mean, listen.
I'm listening.
I don't. Should have bet on that touchback to start the game. That one guy that did made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, all right, what's next?
Let's get in all the way full circle. Let's pop back into our team, see what they're doing.
Sure.
Yeah. So
you want to start? You want me to start?
You can go ahead.
Okay. I'll start with a quick personal note. Rest in peace, Robert Foster's time in Buffalo. He got picked up by Green Bay on their practice squad or something. So he finally got cut from the Bills. He will be sorely missed, at least by me, because I liked him.
Yeah.
But the big news is Tre'Davious White got extended finally. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know when or for how much. But now we know both of the things. The when is now, and the how much is the most.
Yeah. The highest paid corner in the league.
Yeah, when the contract kicks in. So it is an extension. We've got him through this year. This is the 4th year of his rookie deal. We've already picked up his 5th year option, so it'll be like $10.2 million or something next year. But then, he's averaging $17.5 million for 4 years with $55 million guaranteed.
Get paid, my guy.
So it's also the most guaranteed money by a cornerback. The nice thing that I saw pointed out was that we got the deal done before, Marshawn Lattimore and Jalen Ramsey got their stuff renegotiated.
So Trace at the bar.
So, Trace at the bar right now, but we also don't have to fight over 2 more theoretical bars because, Jalen Ramsey's going to come out and say, I'm better, you got to pay me more.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey's better than everybody. Don't you know that?
Yeah. Back up the Brinks truck. Beep, beep.
Yep. And then, Marshawn Lattimore... Excuse me. Jalen Ramsey, I could see making more money than Trey White, but I don't know about Marshawn Lattimore, but he's still going to get paid. It would be difficult for the Bills' negotiation process if you had 2 instances of precedent prior to trying to sign Trey White to an extension. So get it done early, set the bar, and then let all the other teams screw their cap trying to get after Jalen Ramsey and Marshawn Lattimore on their extensions.
Pretty much. I mean,
especially because the Saints are fucking broke right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Bills have taken the step to force other people's hands because we've actually structured our cap situation pretty well, all
good.
Things considered. The last hope now is that we get Matt Milano re-signed, and then I think if we get that deal done, Brandon Beane gets his fucking extension for having re-signed all of these guys and kept it, within the numbers that we need it.
Yeah, kept everything copacetic on a winning football team.
So
it's a good way for your front office to get extensions.
Yeah. So that happened with Trey. And my only other real note is even after our cuts, our practice squad is fucking deep.
Oh, yeah?
Like,
you got some names on there?
Yeah, like Duke Williams is still on our practice squad. Christian Wade, who I'm still excited about, is still on our practice squad. And then we're just, we're keeping depth pieces. We're, excuse me, we're keeping our 7th round cornerback, on the practice squad still. So, we'll probably use a protected pick on him. But, and with the new rules, you can call up 2 guys per week to be the 54th and 55th man on the squad. And you can do that, I think, 2 times per player. So, you could still see Christian Wade in a game, in theory, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty wild. There's a similar situation going on in Cleveland. A lot of names on our practice squad A lot of names on our practice squad right now are names that were, in the actual active rotation last year. Plus, we had Dontrell Hillard, who played behind Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Garrett Gilbert, who was active behind Baker Mayfield. Cody Parkey, who was one of our kickers at one point, but I don't like Cody Parkey very much, so he can stay on the fucking practice squad. But then we also have names like AJ Green and Twan Taylor, who were in the rotation last year in 4th and 5th spots while we were shoring up with injuries and stuff like that have first team experience just sitting in the practice squad. So it's exciting. Both teams seem set up for success. And then you get a squash game and I got to play fucking Baltimore. I
mean, listen, the Jets drafted their quarterback before we got ours, so they should be better, right?
See previous conversation about boom or bust from first round selections in the quarterback position.
All right. Anything else from Cleveland? Because that's kind of all I had about the Bills.
Yeah, so with all those secondary issues, including us losing our first round or losing Grant Delpit for the entire season, yes.
That does remind me, we're getting thin at cornerback.
You got some injuries.
Levi Wallace, I don't know if this happened since last week, but Levi Wallace also has a day-to-day hamstring injury now. Oof. So he and Josh Norman both getting screwed over by the same type of injury.
Oof.
So we're suddenly very thin.
So your 5th and 6th are now setting up into the slot.
Yeah.
Cleveland is trying to shore up some of those issues because we took advantage of the recent Jacksonville Jaguars fire sale and got ourselves Ronnie Harrison, who is their starting safety, for a 2021 5th-round pick. So he isn't the most dynamic as far as a big playmaking safety, and he had some issues with some blown coverages that he was involved with in Jacksonville, but I think he has a better safety net than Jalen Ramsey and company, because it was that secondary largely just looked like Jalen Ramsey and the boys underneath Jalen Ramsey. I think Cleveland has a little bit more balanced secondary, especially because half of them are dead. So he'll have a little bit more support. We won't have to leave him on an island, but he is a starting quality safety that we picked up for nothing to fill the gap of Grant Telpit rupturing his Achilles tendon while in training camp. And the only other real thing that I wanted to discuss was kind of going back to the Clowney thing, just because I find it interesting, was how the Saints, because we briefly discussed the Saints wanted Clowney, but they couldn't compete fiscally because their cap is blown all to shit right now, because they're in a win-now mode. So they cooked up an interesting method in order to acquire Jalen Ramsey. Not Jalen Ramsey. Jadeveon Clowney. Bouncing from team to team. It'll never get easy. So they cooked up an interesting strategy with the Browns to acquire Jadeveon Clowney. So what they had planned on doing was coercing the Browns into giving pretty much Jadeveon Clowney the 15-16 mil that he wanted, with like 500 or 5 million of it, 6 million of it in like incentives and guarantees that would pretty much be paid up front. So the remaining portion of his salary would only be 10 million. That would be paid out of the cap for the next coming season. And then, so the Browns would sign him on that 1 year, $16 million deal, pay him that money up front, and then the Saints would trade him for high round draft picks. So we'd be essentially paying $5 or $6 million for a first or second round draft pick up front, and offloading the rest of the contract to the Saints. The problem is the league didn't want to do it.
No.
Yeah, we've done it before though. We did the exact same thing. Cleveland did a similar thing with Brock Osweiler in Houston. We said, yeah, we'll totally take on that bear of a fucking contract, but you're going to give us a first and a second round pick if we do it. And then we cut Brock Osweiler in the offseason that we traded him in. It was literally, we got him onto our offseason team for like a couple of weeks of training camp, and they're like, all right, bye. Like, we saw what you have to offer. What's here is better. So go be tall somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we just paid cash for draft picks and then ate the cap hit later. I can't remember off the top of my head what those picks turned out to be, so I don't know if the money was worth it. But Cleveland's front office has always been willing to kind of do these really weird deals in order to position ourselves over other teams, and the Saints were like, well, they got the money to spend, and let's try to get creative and work around the cap. And the NFL were like, no, this is not the NBA. Which is kind of a shame, because it would have been nice to see Jadeveon Clowney play for the Saints, but I'm excited for him regardless. He's back on a team. It was either Austin Corbett or Nick Chubb. If it was Nick Chubb, totally worth it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Nick Chubb, we spent way too much money for that draft pick, because Austin Corbett got shipped like quick. He plays for LA now.
Does it not list where that draft pick came from?
Not on this. Oh yeah, it was Nick Chubb. Yeah, from Houston. You're right. Hell yeah, worth it.
There you go.
See?
So,
big brains over in Cleveland. We spent cash money to get Nick Chubb. We didn't even have to draft him. I mean, we did, but
yeah,
that was a good setup. And that's why some of that front office is still there. Except for the guy that actually drafted Nick Chubb. He's gone somewhere.
Yeah. Chewing gum.
Yeah, chewing gum. Wearing sweaters and wearing sweaters and aggressively chewing gum. What a mad lad. Adrian Peterson plays for the Lions now, right?
I do know that Adrian Peterson now plays for the Lions.
Yeah, just happened yesterday.
Back in his old division.
Yep, back in his old stomping grounds. So I mean, he's the only one pretty much alive or playing still that has a chance at Barry Sanders' rushing yards total. So,
unless Frank Gore suddenly figures out how to run again. But.
Yeah. So fitting spot, I guess. But that's an interesting move. Good for him. Still playing. Knock it out.
Do you have any contract details there?
That's what I was looking for. because he's old. We don't pay old people money. Veteran minimum. 1 year,
Okay.
1 year, 1 million. So, well, that kind of sucks. Oh well. He'll be right. That man's been paid so many times in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, like, who... that's... Never mind. I was Googling for another time. I was going to figure out who's, like, the highest paid overall running back in league history. It's probably AP.
Might be.
Yeah. Man won an MVP. Running backs don't win MVPs.
All right, what's next?
Oh, I'm out. That was it.
You're out?
Yep. My list is over.
All right, well, if that's about everything we've got, we can keep this one kind of tight.
Toy.
So, yeah, this has been the Fourth and Wrong podcast for September the 7th, 2020. Say goodbye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.
High energy.
An amount of energy.
An alarming amount of energy.
What?
A tumultuous amount of energy.
What?
What?
What? Bum 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 bum. What? 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 What?
I don't know how that's going to look at the end.